Well, again, we appreciate you all being here today. Today's seminar, from contract campaign to contract enforcement. Let's get started. My name is Antonio Rosario. I'm a 29-year Teamster at a local 804 and a proud member of the TDU Steering Committee. Today's call is sponsored by UPS Teamsters United, which is a project of Teamsters for a Democratic Union. We are a network of Teamsters who inform and involve members to build a strong union. Today, we're going to review some of the key changes to the national contract. We'll talk about contract enforcement strategies, and we'll share examples of how to use contract enforcement to involve members and build a stronger union. At the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A. Use the Q&A function to send in your question, and we will cover as many as we can. Now, it's my privilege to introduce our guest speaker. In 2023, we united to take on UPS in the biggest contract campaign in the labor movement. I'm proud to introduce the man who led our contract negotiations and led Teamsters in winning the best UPS contract in our union's history, our General President, Brother Sean O'Brien.
Thank you very much, Brother Rosario, and thank you, brothers and sisters, for allowing me the privilege to be on this call. As you know, we negotiated the most historic, lucrative contract that our members have seen in decades, and very proud of the work we've done. And we couldn't have done it without the partnership and coalitions that we formed between TDU, Teamsters United, and all the labor movement. We were very successful in setting that bar so high that other unions throughout the country, whether it's the UAW, whether it's SEIU or AFSCME, we're all fighting and taking on the boss and getting the strongest contract. So I'm very proud, not only the work we've done with UPS, but I'm proud that we were able to set the bar so high. It's helped in a lot of situations. Currently, right now, we are fighting with Anheuser-Busch. We have DHL out on strike in the air hubs. And it's all possible in giving us the courage and conviction to do this because of what we collectively all achieved at UPS. We spent 2 years organizing United to take on UPS and win historic contracts. And one of the biggest tools we had and provided the most success for us was the rank and file militancy. We were out there every single day, rallying, picking issues, highlighting those issues. And then when we got to the table, we were able to execute those issues and get the gains that our members enjoy today. Now, UPS, as we all know, is going to spend the next 5 years trying to divide us, to violate the contract. We cannot and will not let that happen. You know, a contract is not worth the paper it's written on unless we enforce it. The one thing that I was able to witness during negotiations was the lack of enforcement of the previous contract. There were a lot of questions being asked during caucuses from leaders and rank and file. And when we told them that you already have that ability, but you're not enforcing the contract, it was an eye opener. And it was saying, look, first goal is to get the best contract ever. The second goal is to make certain that once we get this contract ratified, that we're out there enforcing it. And look, I know it's not always perfect. We've got a couple issues nationwide with the forced six punch. Local unions, most of them worked out the system where people aren't getting forced. There's still a couple areas where the local union didn't reach an agreement. Now the international is involved. Rob Atkinson has been championing that cause in 639, and we will get that resolved. But the one thing that I cherish the most is our ability to work together, one mission, one direction, and we're united, and UPS knows that. And perfect example was this past week when Local 89 and Local 705 were notified that the specialists that were organized, they were going to lay them off and turn those into management positions. We were able to leverage a credible picketing threat that we gave UPS till 5 o'clock on Friday, and they agreed to put all those folks back to work and pay them. But more importantly, that's going to give me the ability to hopefully work out contract neutrality for an additional 6,500 members. So that's what this is all about. It's about working together. It's about having one another's back. But more importantly, it's enforcing this contract consistently across the nation. That's why we're going to have tremendous success moving forward. I'm excited. TDU and UPS Teamsters United were great partners in the contract campaign, and we will keep working together as we move into the contract enforcement campaign, which has already kicked off. The most important partnership was our union shop stewards and rank and file. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today, and I look forward to working and kicking the shit out of UPS for the next 5 years. So with that, I got to jump on a plane. Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you so much, President Sean O'Brien, for all the hard work you've done. We really do appreciate you, and keep it going and have a safe flight.
Thanks, brother.
As our general president just said, we spent more than a year mobilizing to win a good contract. The company is going to spend the next 5 years violating it. TDU worked with the IBT to build a contract campaign moving forward. We will work together on contract enforcement on this contract enforcement campaign. Apologies. The IBT put out its first contract enforcement toolkit on Friday. There will be more to come. TDU's role is building contract enforcement and union power from the bottom up. We'll do with webinars, workshops, parking lot meetings, and coordinated actions and grieve campaigns be a part of it. Yes, grievance campaigns will definitely be a part of it. We will text and email you a take action form. Fill it out, get in touch, and to our network with our other Teamsters who want to enforce the contract. Now, I'm going to turn this over to our brother, Greg Kerwood at Local 25. He's a Teamster and a member of the TDU Steering Committee, and he's going to go over some contract changes and enforcement opportunities. Greg Kerwood, take it away, brother.
Thanks, Tony. Good afternoon and good morning, brothers and sisters. It's great to see so many people on the call. Just a note before we get started, there are well over 60 changes to this contract. Clearly, we do not have time to go over all of them. We're going to hit the heavy hitters, so to speak. You will be emailed from us a copy of all the changes to the contract, so you have them. But we're just going to go over the big ones in the time that we have, and then give some examples from other folks about how they're enforcing the contract in their area. So first up is going to be supervisors working, or as we call it, the gift that keeps on giving. In the new contract, we have quadruple time has replaced triple time for violations by supervisors more than 3 times in a 9-month period. So the first 2 violations get paid at double time. The third violation by the same supervisor is eligible for the quadruple time penalty. There's a tip for this. If you're going to file supervisors working, you can file it under the highest paid member to receive the highest payout. I would also add supervisors working is a fantastic organizing tool. It's better as a team. If you have some members who are hesitant, who are timid about it, you file all affected grievances, pile everybody together, pile the hours together, it confuses management. And you can also use some of the payout to recruit other members by having parties or pizza or whatever, and make sure that you let everybody know that UPS management paid for that party. Next. Payroll errors. As we all know, payroll errors are the bane of our existence at UPS. The company has yet to figure out how to pay everybody. So we have increased the penalty pay. This is a huge victory. Part-timers are now entitled to 4 hours of penalty pay for every pay period until their error is corrected. That's up from half their daily guarantee, which was next to nothing. Full-timers are eligible for 4 hours penalty pay for the first 2 pay periods, and then it goes up to 8 hours of penalty pay for every pay period after that. And then all of those penalties will increase for part-timers and full-timers starting on January 1st, 2026, which is when allegedly the company is going to unveil the greatest payroll system ever invented and fix all of the problems. Just a tip for this, be prepared to have persuasive conversations with members reluctant to file. We hear this all the time. I talked to the supervisor, they said they would take care of it. I talked to center manager, they said they would take care of it. Obviously, we know that's not the case. It is important that you write your grievance as ongoing so that you get the continuing liability for the penalty pay. But really, the process boils down to you need to notify management. And that begins with keeping track of your hours, checking UPSers on Thursday to see if you've been paid incorrectly. If you have, you walk in the door Friday, grab your steward, notify management. They have 2 working days to fix it once you notify them. If they don't, you file your grievance, you add on any and all applicable penalty pay going forward, and then you are covered. Next. Improve 9-5 rights. If your 9-5 rights are violated 4 times in a calendar year, you now can request a compliance meeting, and it must be held within 45 days. You should write that directly on your grievance that you are requesting that compliance meeting. And then after that meeting, if you were continually violated, it goes up to quadruple time from the triple time we currently enjoy. Enforcement tip is to look at other drivers in the loop. If over dispatching is targeted and not everyone in the loop, that makes it a stronger grievance. Obviously, that implies that management is picking on you personally, and it makes it easier to win. Compare the dispatching to similar loops. Don't say, oh, well, that guy over there who's doing a completely different route has whatever. But regardless of that, if you are on the 9-5 list, which will be beginning again January 15th, and you are over dispatched, file the grievances, get the paperwork in, get it on paper, and document it so you can build your case toward that meeting and get up to quadruple time. 1 day and 3 day rides. The company now has to give drivers a 24-hour notice before a supervisor's ride, and they have to tell you the reason for the ride. After the ride, they must provide documentation of the ride to the driver and steward. Management can give more than 24 hours notice, but it has to be specific. They have to tell you, we're riding with you on this date, this day. They can't just give you blanket notice and say, everyone be ready for a ride next week. It is also very important that you meet. There's supposed to be a meeting with the steward and the driver to go over the ride. I know it seems counterintuitive to want to meet with management over something like that, but it is a tool for you to use to make them pay the price for riding with you. Go into the office with your steward, ask a lot of questions, point out a lot of flaws in the ride, make it take a lot of time, make them do work. The more work you make them do, the less likely they are to want to ride people. The tip on that, use the 24-hour notice to remind drivers about the do's and don'ts of an OJS, right? If you know it's coming, you have time to pull the driver aside and let them know what it entails. Some of them may be new and have not had an OJS before. Make sure that all drivers document their ride with the online OJS tracking sheet. It's very important that you take notes on your breaks, during your lunch. Write down anything out of the ordinary on your ride, different loads, stops pulled, different pickups removed, different areas, everything. Supervisor touches a package, opens a door, all those things. OJS tips and the online tracking sheet are available at tdu.org/OJS. And lastly, 8-hour request rights. Drivers now only have to give 3 calendar days notice for an 8-hour request, down from 5 days. UPS has to adjust your dispatch before your start time, and the company has to make further adjustments during the day to make sure you complete your route in 8 hours as long as you notify management by 1 p.m. It's very important. You request an 8-hour day, put the burden on the company. Let them know that you're not going to make it. Send them repeated messages. Let them know you're not going to make it. The penalty for an 8-hour request is now twice what it was before. It's 2 hours at double time. It used to be 2 hours at straight time. Members under the central supplement who have an approved 8-hour request can bring the truck back to the building after they've completed 8 hours work, as long as they work at the rate of their normal production. This 8-hour request is the most underused tool that we have in our bag. There's no more loop language that we used to have years ago. There's 10% of the drivers in the center have to be given the 8-hour request. There is nothing preventing you and the 2 drivers, 3 drivers next to you from requesting 8 hours on the same day and making management sweat. We get 2 of them a month. Some places get 3, but naturally we get 2. Use them. Encourage everybody else to use them. Make management do their job. I think that's it. And then we're back to you, Tony.
Thank you so much, Greg. We appreciate you, brother. Up next, we got Corey Levesque from Local 251, Teamsters, and a TDU co-chair. He's also going to be talking about what it takes to do good organizing work around good organizing issues. So Corey, take it away, brother.
Perfect. Thank you, Tony. So when assessing what a good contract enforcement issue would be, you want to think about issues that are widely felt, deeply felt, and winnable issues. We don't want to identify issues that maybe a handful of members in a 120-person center may have. You want to pick issues that affect everybody, whether they be seniority violations, 9-5 violations, whether they be payroll errors, which we all have dealt with, or supervisors working, which is rampant, even through peak season. Just because it's peak doesn't mean that they're going to refrain from working supervisors, And as Greg went through earlier, there was a multitude of issues that you could pick from and make it a good contract enforcement issue. Now, how do you turn that into a good organizing opportunity as well? It'll be much like the campaign, the contract campaign that we went through. You utilize that to introduce newer members or members who haven't been Teamsters that long, and you use it as an education process for them. This is what we can do when we work together to make sure that the company knows, if you screw with us, we're going to screw with you. You want to show them that there's an effective avenue for us to hold the company accountable. And you could do that. We have members that want their name on the grievance, that have an individual grievance, but you could do that through all affected soups working grievances. There's many different avenues you could take with that. But the important thing is to show members that there's strength in numbers, there's strength in solidarity. And when you have that force of Teamsters moving towards the company on these issues, it's almost unstoppable. So back to you.
Appreciate you, Corey. Thank you so much. Now we're going to hear from members and organizing strategies that have used to enforce the contract and build member power in the process. We're going to hear examples of both driver and inside issues, starting with Isaac Gobble on 9.5 and OJSs. Isaac is a shop steward in Columbus, Ohio, and a member of the TDU steering committee. Take it away, Isaac.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, my name is Isaac Gobble. I'm a shop steward package car driver in Columbus, Ohio. And like Greg said earlier, we got the new 9.5 language. It gives us 45 days to have an elevated meeting to increase penalties for 9.5s and protection for the 2 remaining days of the week. But that only means something if we enforce it. But in Ohio, in my center, we used to get abused constantly over 9.5. I think we had about 3 people on it when we first started. And now nearly everyone signed up. I think there's like 3 people who aren't signed up. And excuse me, we successfully fought the company until they gave up trying to dispute our grievances. And this didn't happen overnight. And we had to get organized. And here's how we did it. We made a plan. We got together, other stewards and other activists worked together to have conversations with other coworkers. We talked to them one-on-one, and nothing's more effective than having personal conversations with your coworkers and telling them the benefits you get from being on the 9.5 list and asking them to sign up. And it's not always the easiest thing to do. And you got to, show them that, like in our building, we used our grievance money to buy breakfast. And then we bought Teamster shirts for everyone to show them the benefits of the 9.5 grievances. And then also conversations to have with them, like an additional conversation with when you're handing out the t-shirts and everything. And then we had to show the power of the contract enforcement of, you got to file grievances on 9.5 violations. It's not enough just to have your name on the list. You got to make sure they know that they're part of a group filing together, and it makes it easier to their fears of retaliation of like everyone's on the list. They can't come after all of us. And then we would, when we first ask someone to sign up, they're hesitant. They say no because of the retaliation, and we'd have to show them that we have, half the building had signed up on the 9.5 list, and we're winning penalty pay, and our stop counts are getting lower, and our trucks are looking better. And you kind of show them that to be like, look, it works. You just have to take the steps for it, and show them like we're all here. They can't harass us. Once we got about 50% of the people, it became easier because it's like, look, they don't even fight us. They can't harass all of us. Like they hang our checks up on our dyad boards in the morning like that. You could have one of those too. Like they don't fight us anymore because there's so many of us. But the company of course is going to push back. And when we started winning our fight against excessive overtime, more of our coworkers would sign up for on the list, and then we would win even more, and even more of our coworkers would sign up. And eventually the company would try to fight back on our 9.5 grievances, accusing of us of not finishing fast enough and as fast as we should have. And then you got to know the methods and kind of become an expert on the OJS. If they tell you to do something against the methods, make sure they instruct you to do that. If they're telling you to do something unsafe, or that's not a method, it's not good enough to say, okay, I guess I'll do it this time. It's important to get them to instruct you. And another tool is when you have an over 70 is to ask for over 70 help, because that really pisses them off, but that's our right. And that's a good way for that. You can even talk to your customers beforehand, like, hey, if you ever see someone with me, it's my supervisor, and they're trying to make me move faster. They don't think I move fast enough, and they'll help you. Usually your customers are, okay, yeah, I'll do what I can to slow you down. And then we would buy the logbooks from TDU's website in bulk, and we would hand those out to package car drivers to tell them, like, here, document this. It has everything you need to win a 9-5 grievance, a 9-5 case. You have to write down everything, though. You have to be consistent with it for it to work. So we would pass those out and, tell them to write anything down, whether a traffic jam or whatever it may be. And then when you go back to 9-5 grievance hearings, you pull out this notebook, and then every question they have, you have an answer for it. So it got to the point where our labor manager he'd see the blue notebook and he'd just be like, I'll pay it, fine. And now for our grievance hearings, it's just our business agent and our labor manager sign off on them, and then he lets us know. And that's about all I got.
Way to go, brother. Good work. We appreciate you. Next up, we have Adrian Smith from Houston Local 988 and Jonathan Thomas from Local 315 in Richmond, California, to talk about supervisors working. Take it away.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. My name is Adrian Smith. I'm from Local 988. I'd like to talk about managers and supervisors working. They always understaff our preload to make their numbers, to rush out to work. Well, I reinforced the contract so my coworkers and I can make our numbers, referring to our 3.5 guaranteed. These were a lot of grievance forms that I had to write. Every grievance that I wrote has been successful. I never lost a case. I'm still writing as we speak. I'm not a union steward in my building, but by me filing the grievances, things have been coming a little bit better. I had to step up to encourage some of my coworkers to file as well. I instructed them to file the grievances so that they can get their 3.5 hours. I tell them, don't talk about it, write about it. That's the only way we'll get things resolved. That's about all I have.
All right, Jonathan, you're up.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan. I'm a shop steward in San Ramon. So I want to talk about how to organize something that we do in 315 is parking lot meetings. We call them Teamster Thursdays. Every Thursday, or every second Thursday of the month or something like that, we try to have a parking lot meeting to discuss issues and stuff. They were a huge success during the contract campaign. So after that, I wanted to continue that. So seeing that peak was coming up, I understood that as a part-timer, my shift was not filing as many grievances as they could. Actually, they filed none. And on some occasions, I found supervisors working. So I want to go over the details on how to sort of organize something in your building and how I did it, and how maybe you guys can replicate it in your own building. So first, I recognize that a lot of the members were relatively new Teamsters and probably not used to being in a union and understanding what that means. And there was a mix of them along with senior members with high seniority. And they didn't really interact too much together. So by having this contract campaign, or having the contract enforcement meeting, I realized I could probably get them to work together more. I saw supervisors working, and I would tell members about that and our language pertaining to that, which was helpful. So I got in contact with my local and sort of coordinated with them as I said, a Teamster Thursday, which I printed out a bunch of grievance paperwork and a sheet from the TDU site on supervisors working, basically just lining out how to write that grievance, because a lot of the new members, I realize, probably never filed a grievance before and don't understand, like, what needs to be written where and how to do that. I flyered the day before. I got and I brought pizza as well from the union. So the turnout was very successful. While flyering, I managed to, I would ask people like commitment questions, like, can I count on you being there? Stuff like that gets people to show up and to make a commitment in their mind that, oh yeah, that we have a meeting like 45 minutes before work in the parking lot. And then members with higher seniority who seemed very engaged, I gave tasks to. I'm like, can you tell others, and can you help me maybe give out paperwork or the grievance paperwork at the meeting? And they were totally stoked to do that. So during the meeting, as I mentioned, I gave out these flyers. So I had, make supervisors pay sheet. It's going to blur it. Sorry, on Zoom. But along with our grievance paperwork, which made it really easy for members to sort of understand what was happening. The turnout was, I would say, a little under half of the shift turned out before work. Those who could make it ended up going, which was fantastic. And sort of afterwards, the day after, I got 3 grievances, which is, to me, a huge success compared to the 0 that I saw before. And the next step really is sort of following up and sort of meeting them where they're at. So even though the focus was entirely on supervisors working, the grievances I got 1 for a supervisor that is working, who is a repeat offender of this. The other 2 grievances were all pay issues. So that tells me that my members are they're seeing more pay issues than you are supervisors working. And also I see now that both the senior members and the newer members have like a dialogue going, and they're working together more often than being sort of isolated in their little, groups. So that is a way you can do it. And I want to stress that it's important to use the grievance money that you get to have like a pizza party to sort of show like, hey, like, some buildings buy sweatshirts, I think you've heard, to really get people to see like the payout of that happening. Otherwise, it might just be words to them. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Rosario. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job. One of the issues the IBT is highlighting right now is payroll errors. We're going to hear from Misty Baker from Lexington, Kentucky, local 651, on her strategy for getting members to file these grievances and win penalty pay. Take it away, Misty.
Hello, and thank you. UPS always has payroll issues, especially with the new contract and peak season. In my building, we've turned this problem into a group activity. We're paid on Fridays. So several stewards in other areas, well, in all areas, we have about 200 members on our shift alone. So when people are addressing that they have payroll issues, we group together at the end of the shift. We'll gather around a table, find a table, a large table, or we'll use irreg cards, anything that works for us. But we, after we group together, we'll take new members too. A lot of them want to learn. They're scared, they're scared of retaliation, I guess. So when they see us gathering together, they come and they want to learn. We file on all errors together. So then after that, we'll collectively turn them into management. They seem to scramble when we do it that way. Like this past Friday, we turned in 8. I know it's not that many, but it's still enough to cause an issue. Also, other areas have had issues with the SSDs, the seasonal support drivers. The company seems to be pulling a fast one on the part-timers. We need to look out for the following violations. Off the street, SSDs seem to be getting work before existing part-timers. UPS is failing to pay the increased pay rate for members that work inside. And they're also failing to guarantee the 8-hour day for the members. I've also heard that UPS is failing to provide coverage for personal vehicles involved in an accident while out performing SSD work. So those are some issues to look out for. Back to the payroll. Greg said it best. If you do it collectively, it does make a big difference with resolving the disputes. Thanks.
You're muted, Rosario.
Thank you, Misty. We appreciate your help. We want to apologize for the technical difficulties, but now if anybody's texting you, let them know they can now get into the room. We did fix the problem. Thank you very much. And, you know, we're going to move on to our brother, Tyler Kondo. Tyler Kondo, a newly elected member of the TDU Steering Committee from Colorado. Tyler, take it away.
Thank you all for having me. I've been called upon today to talk about enforcing our 8-hour guarantee. We found ourselves in a situation where management was changing our time card pay code without any member consent. A steward brought this to management's attention, and they proceeded to start sending out a mass message at the same time every day, explaining that if the driver did not respond to that mass message correctly, they were effectively forfeiting their rights. We realized that we were in hot water, so we consulted with the rank and file from all across the country, and our business agent suggested a solution. She suggested that this was a great organizing opportunity. So we followed her lead and started making lots and lots of phone calls. I have to give a shout out to my brother and co-steward, Greg Gallegos. We hit this together. As a young driver, I started at the bottom of the seniority list, and he started from the top of the seniority list. We worked our way to meet in the middle and made contact with every driver in our center. We explained to them how their rights were being infringed and explained to them a solution. We were going to take a stand against management. We did this by all replying in a coordinated fashion to the mass message sent by management every day at 3. At 2:45, we sent the reminder text, reminding everyone what we were supposed to reply as. We all chose a simple message. Our 8 hours is guaranteed by the contract. Dozens and dozens of drivers all across the building participated in this collective action. And believe it or not, management took notice. They immediately asked us what we would like the message to relay, so that way the drivers were better educated on the decision that they were making in that moment. And Local 455 isn't the only local winning at this. Local 767 filed a grievance on this exact issue and won back pay for all of its members. Local 455 and Local 767 can't pull off these collective actions alone. We have to work in a coordinated fashion, just like all 600 of you decided to do today by showing up to this call. So we kicked ass last summer by going out and getting this contract for our general president, Sean O'Brien. And now it's time to enforce this contract for the rank and file who put this contract in place to begin with. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. These are just a few examples of how we can use contract enforcement to get members involved and, more importantly, build solidarity and build unity. You know, unity is how we won the contract, and that's how we're going to enforce it. You know, we have to fight, and we have to fight with fearlessness. We have to fight united and show the company that there is strength in numbers. You know, that's what TDU and UPS Teamsters United campaign was all about. It was about informing each other. It was about sharing strategies. It was about helping each other stand up to the company because we are stronger together. You know, this is only the first in a series of contract enforcement campaign webinars that we're going to do. You know, a take action form is on the way to you right now. Take a minute to fill that out. And you could also talk to us about holding a webinar or in-person workshop in your area as well. You know, let us know what contract enforcement issues you're concerned about and what contract issues you want to work with Teamsters to enforce, other Teamsters to enforce. So if you want to attend a workshop or help organize one in your area, let us know that too. This is a grassroots, member-driven effort, and we're here to educate and arm all of you with the information necessary to take the fight to UPS. Before we open this up to a little bit of Q&A, I also want to invite you to join TDU. You know, I joined TDU initially because I was a new shop steward, and I wanted to arm myself with the information that I needed to fight this company. And TDU to me has meant so much. It's helped me develop as a steward, and it's helped me are my members on the shop floor to become better Teamsters. You know, the annual dues are $50 a year. 3-year membership is $100, so there's a deal there if you're interested in that. If you join today, you also get a free T-shirt for a 1-year membership and a free hoodie for a 3-year membership. And every dime of that money goes to standing up to corporate greed.